So camping with a 3-season inner pitch first tent is a lot of people's idea of a nightmare. But this is an inner pitch tent with a bit of a difference that could work in this country. Okay. Can I pet that dog? Can I pet that dog? Can I pet that dog? Matching tent bag. So this is the tent, and this is the Hill Zero Scout 2-person tent. Now I've put it in my own stuff sack just to compress it down, make it a bit smaller because it comes in quite a large stuff sack because they accommodate the poles in with it as well. I'm not a lover of doing that, so I've taken the poles out, they go down the side of my bag, and then this fits in a lot easier across the width of my bag. As you can see in these pictures here, compared to my foot, the bag as it is normal that it comes in, I have taken the poles out, but it's the same length, and then obviously my foot against this without it being fully compressed. So as I said, this is an inner pitch first tent. Now the issue with inner pitch first tents is in this country, if you are from the UK and you are used to the fact that we don't have 4 seasons, we have 1, which is just pretty rubbish. You never know when it's going to rain, and a inner pitch first tent is always a problem if there's a lot of mesh on it. And if there isn't a lot of mesh on it, then you have an issue with condensation. So this has a little trick up its sleeve to fix both of those problems. Now we are hitting winds here of up to about 15-mile-an-hour gusts, so nothing major. But again, this has got another little trick up its sleeve to help in higher winds. I don't see this as a true 4-season tent. It has a 4-season inner, but one with a bit of a difference. I've always liked the MSR Hubba Hubba style of tent, or if you want to go to the more budget end, then the Nature Hike Mongar. And this is a similar sort of design, however it's a lot lighter. They say it weighs 1.56 kilos. I weighed it on my scales and it comes out at just over 1.6 kilos. But it's a 2-person tent, albeit a squeeze of a 2-person. Realistically, as we all know, 2-person means 1 person and a dog or your gear. So I'll put the inner up now and I will show you what it's like and the reason why I think it's quite a decent option for this type of climate. Now a tent inner is not going to be waterproof, but if there is no mesh on it at all, at least if there is a light shower, it's not going to get through to the inside, making your bedroom compartment wet. So the outside of the inner will be wet and hopefully will dry off once you're in there and it's covered up. Now obviously if you put up an inner pitch first tent in the absolute pouring, hammering down rain, then it's going to get wet no matter what, because it will eventually seep through. But there's ways around that, so ideally you just wait till it stops raining a little bit or dies down at least, and then you can quickly get this up. Get the poles prepped first so that these are ready to go straight on it, so you can at least erect it as quickly as you possibly can. Okay, so I didn't show me putting it up. That took literally about 3 minutes. So it's just simply 4 peg out points. Put the poles in, same as you do with any other inner pitch tent first, and then clip the outer with these. There's also a spreader bar across the top, which connects into these little plastic hook and loops. But there's also another little addition on the outer of the tent, which works really well. So as you can see, this is a solid tent. There is no mesh holes going through it. You can see mesh on it, but it's solid underneath. So if this was raining, by the time I got this up and the cover over it, the inner would still be dry. What this does have is the option, very similar to my Fjallraven Abisko, that the doors and the vents can be fully closed or fully opened. So inside here, you can open the door completely, or you can just open the solid part inside, and then you've got a mesh door. And the same with the vents, as you can see on here. These unzip. It's got Hill Zero dotted about throughout the camo pattern, which is quite a nice little touch. So you can undo the zip inside, fold it down, and you've got mesh at both sides and mesh on both sides of the doors. I'm going to get the cover on and I'll show you what it's like fully attached. Now I wanted to show you a couple of things on this before I put the cover on totally, but sod's law, just as I started to do it, that was when the wind gusts started kicking up. So basically I've put this all on now. The corners clip in. Clever little system, it just slides in at an angle. Doing this in the wind wasn't a problem, but trying to film it while doing it in the wind is. There's Velcro tabs, you can probably just see it through the material there on the inside, so that attaches to the poles. Now, a lot of people don't like those, and I understand why it's a bit of a faff, but What it does do is it lines up the seam of the tent with the pole, which is annoying when it's not lined up, but also I think it does give it a bit more structural stability because it's in the correct place and you know it's in the correct place. So this isn't guyed out properly yet. Obviously I haven't even got the door up, but just to show you inside here, there is a two-way vent. So you've got zip at the top as well as the bottom, and the center pole goes into this little sleeve cap here. So again, nice little touch. You just pull that over the pole, locks in place, and it's not going to damage your tent. I'll finish pegging it out and I'll show you around it. Now the wind is forecast to be coming from that direction, hence I pitched it facing that way so the vents are facing into the wind, and it's supposed to change during the night towards that way. However, it's coming from this direction now, straight into the doors. Which is exactly what I didn't want. So I'm not going to move it again because it will probably change again. So this is all set up. As I say, there's a bit of a breeze here. It's forecast to hit sort of 15-mile-an-hour gusts, but we're guyed out fully. Now, this is a 3-season tent. It has a 4-season inner, but it doesn't make it a 4-season tent. What it does mean is that it will cope with the majority of naff British weather in the summertime. Maybe autumn and spring, but certainly not. Well, it would do in winter fine so long as you weren't in majorly high winds. But it's a fairly solid, strong, stable tent. I mean, this is the sort of design that the MSRs use. I've seen them collapse in high winds, so maybe it's not the best design in the world. But this has also got, again, as I said before, another little trick up its sleeve inside to cope with high winds. I'll take you inside and I'll show you it. Again, similar to the Fjallraven, what I like about the Hill Zero tents is they use these toggles where you can actually tighten it up. So you can just pull it as tight as you like on the door tie-outs. That is never going to come loose or start flapping. It's the same on the inside ones as well. Now there is 2 on here, so you can have both doors rolled up or just the inner solid door, so you've got a mesh. Hill Zero. So as I said before, this is a completely solid inner, but we'll drop this down. Again, you roll it up and you have the same tightening toggle, and then you've got mesh door, and mesh on this side, so you can give yourself really good ventilation. But during assembly, if it's not that great weather, it's going to protect you in the rain. So the other nice little trick that this tent has up its sleeve is inside on each corner there is a cord with hooks, so guy line adjustable with a hook on each end. Now what that is designed to do is very similar to the tension band system on Vangos. To give extra stability in the wind, you unravel it and tie it into each corner, and then you can adjust it and tighten it so it then gives structural rigidity between the opposing poles in a cross section, so when wind is hitting that side of the tent, it is being protected by the other end of the tent. It also gives you a little hanging line. Now, I don't think that's going to be a problem tonight. The wind isn't going to be that high, so it's not really going to be tested out. So I'm not going to have these attached, because also you do lose headroom, and I need as much as I can get, and as you can see, that restricts it. Inside this tent it is 110 centimetres high. So there is, without the band, 4 inches or more above my head. Yeah, 8 inches. Another lovely little touch, there is a really big pocket, 1 in each corner. So not just at the head ends or foot ends. There's 4 large pockets, tons of storage, and obviously you have the other vestibule as well. I really like this tent. Okay, so I haven't got my sleep mat in here yet, but the internal dimensions of this is 95 centimetres wide, 220 long. So me, laying down with my head close to the end, so I'm a couple of inches away, and my feet are, if I push out, just about touching the edge. So a tad short for me, but again, at 6'4", it's going to suit most people. There's also a lantern hook, proper hook, not a little loop of tape. Love that, well done. Okay, so I'm now on my mat and I'm on my pillow, so this is my hair just what little I've got, just touching the edge, the end of the tent, and the other end, my feet are just touching the outer, or the inner rather. There is a big gap between the inner and the outer, so I've got no real problems with it. But obviously with my quilt on, that's going to be worse. I do tend to side sleep, so a bit more fetal position might not be a problem. But as I said before, most people, this isn't going to be an issue for them. So just to give you some stats on the tent, it is a 20D silicone nylon, PU coated. It's 2000mm hydrostatic head. It is fully taped on the inside, so it is not double siliconized, so you don't have to seam seal it. The poles are Yunnan 8.6mm aluminium poles, so should be relatively decent and strong. Other than that, yeah, pretty much just the weight of 1.64 kilos as I weighed it on my scales. And that was without tent pegs. They do supply some fairly decent tent pegs with them, but I always use my own. So I know what Dartmoor is like, and it is good for annihilating tent pegs. So I use my Eastern Nano pegs. They supply 8 pegs, so that is enough for the entire tent to be pitched out. However, there is 2 little loops at the foot and head end, not really big enough to get a tent peg through, maybe a very thin titanium shepherd's hook one, but ideally you could put, if you wanted to, an extra bit of guy outline on there and then tie the ends out as well, just to give it a bit more stability and stop the ends from flapping if you're, well, they should be that way facing the wind anyway. The vents also have a stiffened piece of material that is velcro, so you can velcro it open or you can velcro it fully shut depending upon the weather conditions and your preferences. There's a group of about 10 people who've just gone past me, and they are going to actually pitch up about 30 feet away. One of them at least. Seriously. 365 square miles of Dartmoor. So the group of campers that have got the flags that were flying the drone earlier on, I was just sitting up on a tour and I could see flames licking all around their camp. So I just gone down there and spoke to them because they had it wasn't an open fire, it was an open fire, but it was actually in a fire pit, so they had it off the ground. Nice bunch of lads actually, so I had a long chat with them about the rules and regulations of Dartmoor. There's me being a sad old git telling them off, but just to tell them to, you know, keep an eye out for the rangers, because although it's off the ground, it's still an open fire. It's not going to do any damage, so they're doing the right thing. But they're just a group of lads come down from up in the Cotswolds, I think it is, to have a little camp. And they're enjoying themselves. They're not really doing any harm, so I'll just let them get on with it. It is a beautiful evening. The temperature has really dropped. The sun is just going down, but there's a fair breeze outside, and it's really quite cutting through. I've been sitting up on the rocks, just taking some pictures like these, and although it's absolutely stunning, the evening is beautiful. It is pretty cold up there, and I've only got shorts on, but my hands are like ice. It's August, it's summer, allegedly. So yeah, the temperature has really dropped, but luckily, to make up for it, the noise from the people hasn't. It's just got louder. They're all laughing and having fun and enjoying themselves. Bastards. Shouldn't be allowed. I actually forgot. I've got a full flask in here of Jack Daniels as well. Jack Daniels Honey, my favourite, so that warmed me up. But the reason why I thought I forgot it was because that's the reason why I brought this, which is a Hotel Chocolat salted caramel vodka liqueur bottle. Looks nice. I had this chocolate cream one the other night. Just got bored, cracked it open. It's only a couple of mouthfuls, but yeah, tasty. Give that a go. Salted caramel. Not bad. 44% volume. Can't be right. It's got to be my eyes. My eyesight's going more than what it normally does. I thought it said 44, but it's not. It's 24.4% volume. I thought that was a bit much for alcohol content anyway. Quite enjoying all the space inside this tent. Like a palace for me. So tonight I'm obviously going to test out this tent, see what it's like, and give you my final verdicts and thoughts in the morning. But I'm also going to hopefully try and do the review on this torch I was going to do the last time. So this is the Immolent, which is quite an interesting, unusual little torch. It has a digital readout, so you can see when it is locked and unlocked there. And it actually has a blue ultraviolet light. So picking up any dodgy things. Nothing on me at the moment. But yeah, this is got 3,600 lumens maximum, so hopefully I don't fall asleep tonight and not get round to reviewing it again. So I'll test that out later on and hopefully piss off some people that are in their tents asleep right next door to me. Good morning. So the tent performed well. There was no real weather for it to contend with. Last night was just a bit foggy, a bit claggy, so there was no high winds or anything. In fact, it went really, really calm, very quiet. So I slept with both vents open, that door vent shut, this door vent open. So whatever breeze there was, it kept it bone dry. It's actually bone dry inside. There's zero condensation inside it. The outside is soaked with the morning mist and condensation. But yeah, I'm quite chuffed with this tent. It's pretty decent. And personally, I think that for a tent of this budget and this style, it is one of the lightest that you can get with plenty of space and lots of little features that aren't on a lot of the other tents. So this could be something if you're looking for this style of dome tent, that is an inner pitch first and you have that worry about it raining when you're setting up and getting wet inside the tent, then this tent could really work well for you because, as I said, you can completely seal it up, the inside of the tent, so that when you're setting it, if it's light rain, it's going to get wet, but the inside isn't going to get wet, and that's the important bit. So as always, I will put a link in the description below if you do want to purchase it. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, as always, hit the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.